Just a year ago, back in February, I was one of the more than 3 million bone-chilled Texans who had lost their electricity in a state that prides itself in its energy independence, as stated by the Christian Science Motor in 2022. Across the state, Texans were plagued with a polarized winter which left, personally, me out of school, with no running water or electricity. However, my personal struggles could not begin to describe the atrocities that were stated by the Department of State Health Services, which compared my minor struggles to the 246 confirmed winter storm-related deaths across 77 Texas counties. This mass casualty of human life was completely avoidable and unjustifiable, and this personally prompted me to explore what I believe was the cause, which is the instability of today's Texas power grid. And my studying brought me to understanding and unpacking the works of the New York Times editorial, The Lessons of the Texas Power Disaster. This editorial is first organized starting with a chronological order of the states being affected by the Texas polarized winter, which then gives a synopsis of the aftermath and a solution to the ongoing statewide power outages. And finally, the editorial's writer believes and unpacks their opinions on solving climate change as key to mitigating the future power outages in the state and preventing another future polarized winter. So today we'll be discussing number 1, the main claim, number 2, the first subclaim, and number 3, the second subclaim. The main claim is that the nation's power, or nation's energy delivery system, not just in Texas but everywhere, needs a radical overhaul if it is to withstand the shocks and the role that President Biden has assigned it in the battle against climate change. The main claim is established mid to end of the editorial, and it is a claim of value due to the moral obligation denoted by the word needs and radical overhaul, which is not factual but opinionated. The first subclaim is that the country's energy system must be robust enough to withstand whatever surprises climate change is likely to bring. Now, this is a value claim because the word robust enough, which is evaluative, is based on qualitative assertions. This argument is supported by the anecdotes and examples of other states which have experienced a similar energy overhaul, such as California. Professional expert testimony is also used by citing Princeton and Jesse Jenkins. Now, going on, the second subclaim is that if building resilience is imperative, another is making sure that America's power system, the grid in particular, is reconfigured to do the ambitious job that Mr. Joe Biden has in mind for them, to not just survive the effects of climate, but ultimately to lead the fight against it. This is supported by an expert testimony by Joe Biden, the president, about attempting to achieve net zero carbon emissions in the early future or mid-century to eliminate fossil fuel dependency from the power sector by the year 2035 within America. Now, this may be somewhat lengthy and ambitious, but this is exactly what President Joe Biden wishes to do in the near future. In simplest terms, what this means is electrifying everything in sight, as stated by the editorial. Lastly, we come to our final subpoint, or our conclusion. Now, after we looked at this editorial's 2 subclaims and the supportive editorial's opinions on solving future polarized winters, we see that they plan to achieve no future polarized winters and a crash of the electricity grid by achieving zero net carbon emissions. Now, what this means is that conclusively, after discussing the main claim and the 2 subclaims of the editorial under a broader understanding of the Texas polarized winter, we understand that the power grid may be to blame for my struggles as an individual, but it's the instability of Texas power and interdependency as a whole that needs to be overhauled. So today, when we understand what happened with the Texas power grid through my lens of personal experience, as well as understanding and unpacking the power grid shortages as a whole, we have to see that going forward, if we're ever to withstand another Texas power grid shortage, perhaps Texas lawmakers have to understand long-term sustainability when trying to redesign a power grid not solely based on stately autonomy. Casting their pride aside, we have to look at long-term sustainability, not only for America, not just for Texas, not just for the people, but for the globe at large in this fight against climate and weather resistance. Thank you.